Hey, you. Yeah, you. Welcome to the Malaka podcast.
Joaquin Phoenix. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of my favorite actors for quite a long time. He's always been able to keep things interesting on the big screen. His diverse roles are, well, they're just kick ass. I mean, he can fall in love with a computer, he can be a sidekick to Philip Seymour Hoffman, or he can just play one of the most iconic roles, the Joker. But he's just a very interesting guy. I mean, I don't know. He seems very shy in interviews and awkward, and yet he's funny and he's tough, and I don't know. He's a combination of a whole bunch of shit. It just makes him really cool. But he comes across as kind of humble as well. But then there's times where it seems like if you ask him the wrong question, he could snap, and I'm sure he won't, but I'm just saying, I mean, you really don't know what's going on in his head, and that's what makes him more mysterious and, I don't know, just a very interesting guy. It's just always very interesting to see what he does on film. The last podcast I did, I was talking about the Joker, and obviously I'm going to get to that iconic role that he's done in the last month, obviously. But you know what, for now, let's just talk about a little bit about his life and how he got to that iconic role. Joaquin Raphael Phoenix, I think his last name is Bottom. Yeah, born October 28th, 1974, is a Puerto Rican born American actor, as well as a producer. Wait a minute, Puerto Rican? He's Puerto Rican? Well, I mean, I okay, we'll get into that more later. Uh, and an advocate who has received several accolades, including a Grammy Award, a Golden Globe Award, and nominations for 3 Academy Awards. A Grammy Award? Wait, for. Oh, okay, yeah. He got a. Yeah. It was probably for Walk the Line there. Yeah, he was doing Johnny Cash. Yep, there it is. Okay. Yeah, actor Phoenix and Grammy magnate T-Bone Burnett assembled the 2006 winner for Best Soundtrack Album, the music to the Johnny Cash biopic Walk the Line. It consisted largely of the actor singing the Man in Black's songs, kind of a middle brow kids bop. Sure. All I know is that he became Johnny Cash. He had a really good voice. He really just drew a ring of fire. You know, I wasn't even sure if he was singing that, and then I found out later on he was. So yeah. Also, for a long time, I thought he actually produced the song that Pusha T did. Now, if you don't know who Pusha T is, he's a rapper who, for some reason, really has it out with Drake. And he had an album called My Name Is My Name, and there was a song called King Push. Now, originally when I first saw the video, it said produced by Joaquin Phoenix, and I was like, really? The guy can produce too? So, I mean, this is the time when he was doing that stupid documentary, I'm Not There, I don't know, whatever. And then later on, I found out that he actually just introduced the real producer to Pusha T, and they gave him a credit or something. So, he didn't actually produce the track. So he admits that. There you go. End of story. Anyways, Phoenix started acting in television series with his brother River Phoenix and sister Summer Phoenix. His first major film role was in Space Camp, which came out in 1986. During this period, he was credited as Leaf Phoenix, his self-given name. He later went back to his birth name, Joaquin, and received positive reviews for his supporting work in several films, including To Die For and the period film Quills. He received wider attention for his portrayal as Komodos, Komodos. I'm Greek too. Shit, I'm gonna pay for that one. Anyways, in the 2000 historic epic film Gladiator, which earned him a nomination for the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. He has subsequently earned Best Actor nominations for portraying musician Johnny Cash in the biopic Walk the Line, and for his role as a lustful alcoholic in the drama The Master, which also won him the Volpe Cup for Best Actor. Thank you. Phoenix's other films include the horror films Signs and The Village, the historical drama Hotel Rwanda, the romantic drama Her, and the crime satire Inherent Vice. He gained further acclaim for playing an assassin in You Were Never Really Here, for which he won the Cannes Film Festival Award for Best Actor, and the titular character in Joker. First of all, I forgot to remind you guys that I am reading this from Wikipedia, and they just throw in some words. Sometimes I have no idea how to pronounce them. I'm just going to be honest with you. I just go on Google and I just put in the word, and it tells me how to say it.
Titular.
See? If I can continue. Phoenix has also ventured into directing music videos, as well as producing films and television shows. For recording the soundtrack to Walk the Line, he won the Grammy Award for Best Compilation Soundtrack for Visual Media. Phoenix is a social activist, leading his support to several charities and humanitarian organizations. He is on the board of directors for the Lunchbox Fund, a nonprofit organization which provides daily meals to students of township schools in Soweto of South Africa. Phoenix is also known for his animal rights advocacy. He has been a vegan since the age of 3 and campaigns for PETA, or PETA as they pronounce it, and in defense of animals. Well, I'm half Greek, half Italian. I can't help you there. Other than that, it seems like the guy has pretty much worked his ass off his whole career. Music, movies, giving to charities. I mean, the guy just seems like almost a perfect human being. He really does. And again, there's just kind of like mystery to him. I don't know. I mean, he puts all of his shit out there and, you know, and yet he can somehow find a way to channel into the whole Joker world and just get lost in that role. And it really is quite amazing, you know. But there's also a bunch of other cool facts about this guy that I'd like to share with you, of course. Now, it says here he had missionary parents. Joaquin's parents were missionaries for a cult. They joined the extremely controversial Christian group, the Children of God, in the 70s. Now I'm looking at this picture. It seems pretty chill. What I find quite amazing is he looks exactly like his father. I mean, the hair, the beard, it's pretty much obvious who he takes after look-wise. So there you go. A hitchhiking mother. What? Joaquin's mother, Arlene, I think that's how it's pronounced, met his father, John Bottom, while hitchhiking. After getting married in 1969, his parents traveled throughout South Africa for the missionary cult, the Children of God. Well, just a reminder, next time you do some hitchhiking, you never know, you might meet your future wife or husband. Varied birthplaces of his siblings. All his siblings were born in different places. Joaquin in Puerto Rico. Okay, so that explains before. He was born in Puerto Rico. Okay, all right, because he doesn't look that tan to me. It's not I didn't see it there. Okay, I'm just saying. Elder siblings River and Rain were born in Oregon and Texas, respectively, while little sister Liberty is a native of Venezuela. So, again, when your parents are traveling all over the world, you will be born all over the world. It doesn't matter. You got the parents' love, it's all good. Rises from its own ashes. The fact connotes to his surname Phoenix that his parents had adopted after leaving the missionary cult, the Children of God. Phoenix is a mythical bird that rises from its own ashes. I gotta say, they have some pretty kick-ass names. I just got a really plain name. It's all right, but it's nothing like like this. So it even says he didn't like his name, but hey, worst case scenario, you don't like something, you change it, and that's what he did. In 1978, he changed his name to Leaf because he wanted to have a nature-related name just like his siblings, River, Rain, Summer, and Liberty. While talking about it, he says, "I changed my name because no one in the States could pronounce Joaquin, and I used to get really embarrassed about it as a kid. All kids in my family have gorgeous names, and I got Joaquin. I said, this is not good. Even I can't say it." Well, there you go. I was hoping he changed his name because he was a Toronto Maple Leaf fan, but that's okay. As long as you're not a Sens or a Canadiens fan, that's good enough for me. I want to get back my previous name. So he kept the name Leaf until 1991, and then he changed it back to Joaquin after filming Walking the Dog. Okay, well, that's cool too. Busking on the streets of LA, whatever that means. Joaquin was discovered as a toddler along with his siblings, River, Rain, Summer, and Liberty, when an agent named Iris Burton stumbled upon the Phoenix family as they busked for their tofu-based supper on the streets of LA. The agent put them in touch with a director who made a documentary about the family. The documentary led to other opportunities for Joaquin and his siblings. I didn't know. You see, tofu, I don't know, I never got the whole idea about tofu. I mean, tofu is basically like the sponge of the food world. It just absorbs everything else. I don't know. I don't get it. Acting debut with Christmas song. Okay. Joaquin made his acting debut alongside his elder brother River in the short-lived 80s TV series 7 Brides and 7 Brothers, in which he appeared in the episode Christmas Song. At the time, he was 8 years old. Cool. First major role. He got his first major role when he co-starred opposite his elder brother River in the ABC after-school special entitled Backwards, The Riddle of Dyslexia. Huh. I never knew that. I saw him in this weird thing where, you can see it on YouTube where, or maybe that was it. I don't know. He was a kid and then he was dreaming in class or some shit, and I don't know. He became Superman for a little while, and I don't know, maybe that was it. So, but it's kind of trippy. Check it out when you're on YouTube there. Um, it's a bird. It's a plane. It's the Joker. Theatrical film debut. Joaquin made his theatrical film debut with the 1986 film Space Camp. I mentioned this before. In the film, he appeared as Max, a 12-year-old who gets a chance to go on an interstellar voyage, which is a fancy word for going into space. First starring role. His first starring role was in the 1987 American comedy film Ruskies. The film is about a group of friends who eventually befriend a Russian soldier during the Cold War. I never saw it. First critical acclaim. Phoenix received the first critical acclaim in his acting career for the film Parenthood, in which he appeared as the withdrawn teenager nephew of Steve Martin's character. He went on to get nominated for the Young Artist Award for Best Leading Young Actor in a feature film for his performance in the film. So there you go. Already getting started. Acting hiatus. After getting himself established as a child actor, Joaquin Phoenix took a break from acting and traveled to South America and Mexico along with his father. Again, I'm looking at this picture, man. It is like, yeah, I mean, if anybody says this is not his father, just tell him to give me a call because I can absolutely verify. An ideal big brother. It was Joaquin's brother River who convinced him to return to acting. While crediting River for his comeback, Joaquin said at a film festival, "When I was 15 or 16, my brother River came home from work and he had a VHS copy of the movie called Raging Bull, and he sat me down and made me watch it." First of all, that's a awesome brother, by the way, and that is one of the best movies of all time. But anyways, and the next day he woke me up and he made me watch it again. Once again, I just want to say this is an awesome brother. He said, "You're going to start acting again. This is what you're going to do." Now, if I could just say at this point, River Phoenix, the guy did some really cool movies. He did a really good movie with him and Keanu Reeves called My Private Idaho. And, you know, he just died way too soon. You know, I don't want to talk about, you know, what happened there, but, you know, nobody deserves an early death like that. And, you know, this is something that always pisses me off is that they record these 911 calls and, you know, they just release it to the public. I really wish it would just stop doing that. I don't even know how that's legally possible for them to do that, but I mean, you can do your own research on this one, guys. You know, like I said, nobody deserves a death like this, and you know, River Phoenix was a really cool guy. Rest in peace. And you know, it's really cool that like he was just so generous, especially with his family, you know, and his brother, and he just encouraged him to just go back into acting. So, you know, I mean, good acting just runs in the family. It says here also that he was typecast as conflicted and insecure characters. After his comeback, he was mostly offered the supporting roles of conflicted and insecure characters with a dark side. You know what? I consider that lucky because who just wants to play the plain person in a role? I mean, you want those characters that stick out. So, and even here it says his breakthrough role. After doing supporting roles in various films, his breakthrough came in 1995 when he co-starred in To Die For, which he played the role of Jimmy, a disturbed young man who gets seduced by Susan Stone, played by Nicole Kidman, to commit murder. The film became both a financial and critical success and portrayed Phoenix as an artist to watch for. There you go. Again, I always say everything in life is timing, so everything worked out pretty well. The first Academy Award nomination. Phoenix received his first Academy Award nomination in the category of Best Supporting Actor for the historical epic film Gladiator. His portrayal of a fictionalized version of Roman Empire Commodus, I think I said it better that time, was highly praised across the globe. He went on to get nominated for the same award 2 more times for the films Walk the Line and The Master. So as you can see, he was getting a lot of great attention. The only brothers nominated for acting Oscars. Joaquin and his brother, River, hold the distinction to be the first and the only brothers to be nominated for Acting Academy Awards. The movie was for Running on Empty, and it was released in 1989, and he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor. Now, he also checked into rehab for alcoholism, which is something even I didn't know. In 2005, at the age of 30, Joaquin Phoenix checked into a rehab to deal with alcohol abuse problems. In an interview, while talking about it, he said, "I was being an idiot, running around, drinking, trying to screw people, going to stupid clubs." That I had absolutely no idea, guys. Yeah, I mean, when you're younger, you do stupid shit, but, can't blame him. I mean, he's been through a lot of shit even before that, and, he got out of it, so that's great. And then he officially announced retirement from acting. To pursue a career in hip-hop, Joaquin Phoenix announced his official retirement from acting in 2008. He grew a beard and became a regular fixture on the Hollywood party scene. Thank God he came back. Like it says here, the return of Phoenix. After the release of his mockumentary, I'm Still Here, he shaved off his facial hair and ditched his omnipresent sunglasses, making the return of his old self. Thank fucking God. We'll get more into that later. The only girl he ever looked up on the internet. What? In July 2019, he got engaged to her co-star, Rooney Mara. While talking about her in an interview, he said, "She's the only girl I ever looked up on the internet." Okay, I get it. I got the joke there. The weight loss for the Joker made him develop a disorder. Well, if he did that role and just got one disorder, then, he should consider himself lucky. The actor had to lose 52 pounds for the portrayal of the character Arthur Fleck in the 2019 film Joker. After earning worldwide acclaim for his performance in the film, he told the Associated Press, "Once you reach the target weight, everything changes. Like so much of what's difficult is waking up every day and being obsessed over like 0.3 pounds, right? And you really develop like a disorder. I mean, it's wild." Well, we'll get into more of that later. But yeah, I mean, I lost weight a couple years ago. I kind of understand what he means in the sense where you kind of just get used to a certain weight, and then if you gain a little bit, then you become obsessed about it, then it sucks, and then it takes you a while to get out of that funk, and, through all these facts, it just seems like he takes his roles very seriously, and that's another reason why people love him. A great actor, ladies and gentlemen, will always do whatever it takes to please the audience. And I think that's why, he's just accepted, like not only just with critics, but just with the audience. People see that. When you go into a theater, you really just want to see everything that actor or actress can pull off. And, once they pull that shit off, it's just amazing to see. I mean, like, you feel like when you're sitting there, you're a part of something. And, it's the best feeling in the world where if you're a performer and you do the role right, and it just makes it feel that much better if you're accepted by the audience. And if the audience accepts you for what you've done and they see the work that you put in. And judging by his resume here, he has put in a lot of work since he was a kid. Starting with his first job that he did all the way back in 1982, called Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. I mentioned this before. It was a TV series. He did another TV series called Mr. Smith. Six Pack, a TV movie. I doubt it's about beer, but who knows. ABC After School Specials, more TV. The Fall Guy, Hill Street Blues. I remember that show. Murder, She Wrote. That woman is still alive. I mean, she's like 90 something. Anyways, Kids Don't Tell, Anything for Love, Alfred Hitchcock Presents. Obviously, this is the one that was made in 1986, not the one before. Another TV series, Morning Star, Evening Star. Then he did the first movie, like I mentioned before, Space Camp. Then Ruskies. Another TV movie, Secret Witness. The new Leave It to Beaver. Kyle Cleaver. Really? Okay. Well, that apparently that didn't last long. Okay. Superboy TV series. Oh, okay. Okay. So that's what he was doing the whole. Okay. I said that before. He did a whole thing on YouTube there. Okay. So, okay. All right. So he didn't last that long as Superman, but, he got to play one of the most kick-ass villains of all time. Again, we'll get into that later. Parenthood. I remember that movie. I mentioned it before as well. He did a short called Walking the Dog. I never saw that one. One of the more earlier things I remember seeing him in was To Die For, like I mentioned before. This is a pretty dark movie. I'm pretty sure it's based on a true story. Nicole Kidman's character just, seduces Joaquin Phoenix. Poor him. But anyways, this is a really good movie. Check it out when you get a chance. Another movie that I remember seeing is Inventing the Abbots. I think this is the movie where like he tries to be like Elvis, and he's literally painting on these like fake sideburns, and there's a funny scene where they're telling him like don't do it, but then he asks his mother, and he's like, well, if you feel comfortable with it, he's like, I do. Well, there you go. So never be afraid to be the king. I think that's what we were trying to get out of that. But anyways, then he did U-Turn. He had a little role in that one. The Sean Penn movie. I sort of remember this movie. It's something to do with like Sean Penn being in this town or something, and he meets Jennifer Lopez for something, and I don't know. It was a decent movie. I liked it. Return to Paradise. Okay. I remember this movie. I remember watching this movie in theaters. This is when Vince Vaughn was still doing like serious movies. He learned later on he can make way more money doing comedies. But anyways, again, I think this is based on a true story. These guys, they go overseas and they get arrested for drug possession, and Hayes has to help him out, and I don't want to give a lot away, but it is worth seeing. I like this movie. It's a pretty good movie. So, I recommend. Clay Pigeons. I don't remember this movie. Clay Pigeons. Okay, it's got Vince Vaughn in it. Jeanine Garofalo. After hearing that his wife sleeps with Clay, Earl kills himself, making it look like Clay shot him. She doesn't like it when Clay sees another woman instead. Bodies start piling up. Well, I got a decent rating. I never saw it. I don't know. Vince Vaughn's wearing a cowboy hat. I mean, just I don't know. You never know. 8 millimeter. I remember this movie. I actually watched this movie at a drive-in. It was okay. Um, I don't even remember him in this movie. That's all right. The Yards. Uh, don't really remember this movie either. I don't know. Mark Wahlberg. Uh, yeah, I don't really remember this movie. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But the next movie that came out was one of my favorites, Gladiator. Now, he played an awesome villain. Like, it wasn't like over the top or nothing, you know. I, like, again, I don't want to give a lot away. It pissed me off what he did at the end there, but like, I mean, pissed off in the sense, that's how much of an asshole this character was. He was kind of a coward, but he played a really good bad guy. Like I said, nothing over the top, just very chill. Definitely recommend this movie. Awesome. Quills. Never saw this movie. It looks like kind of an art piece. I don't know. Yeah. Buffalo Soldiers. Okay. Now this movie is pretty kick-ass. I'm not gonna lie. This is a movie that kind of I guess he was kind of a bad guy, but a good guy at the same time. I mean, the whole point of this movie is he's in the army, and they're just doing a whole bunch of like side deals and stuff like that. I don't know, like a lot of things just to pass the time. They come across like this truck that has like all these guns and shit, and they decide to make some money on the side, sell it, and then they get involved in some other shit. And it's actually definitely a really good movie. Good, cast of people as well. You got Ed Harris in there, Anna Paquin's in there, Michael Pena, Leon. Excellent cast. I definitely recommend this movie. Signs, good movie as well. M. Night Shyamalan directed it. A lot of people go back and forth on M. Night Shyamalan movies. I can absolutely tell you this is one of the good ones. He works with Mel Gibson. This is before all the, yeah, and but it's a good movie. The family's being stalked by aliens. I don't know. They got to figure out what the fuck is going on. They're making all those weird crop circles in the fields there. I don't know. They got to figure out how to get these fuckers. Good movie. So check it out. It's all about love. Yeah, I never heard of this movie. Didn't get the best rating, but what does these days? I mean, let's just be honest. Brother Bear. This looks like a cartoon. I never saw it, but like I said before, if you're an actor and someone offers you, a cartoon role, just do it. Worst case, it's an easy paycheck. If the movie's a hit, I don't know, they'll make a bunch of them. So either way, you're good. The Village. Okay, again, I believe this is another M. Night Shyamalan movie. Yes, it is. A lot of people like this movie. A lot of people don't like it. I'm kind of in the middle because, I gotta be honest with you. I mean, I feel this movie rips off an old Twilight Zone episode. So I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about it. I mean, it's all right, I guess, but I don't know. The idea. I mean, there's the big surprise ending there. I don't know. I'm not gonna give it away if you've never seen it. I mean, it's worth checking out. I mean, like I said, I feel it ripped off a Twilight Zone episode, but I don't know. It's up to you guys. Hotel Rwanda, good movie. I'll be honest with you, I didn't remember he was in this movie. But yeah, that's definitely worth checking out. Ladder 49, he plays a firefighter. It's an alright movie. I mean, it's nothing, I mean, it's no Backdraft. I'll just say that. But it's still a decent movie. Travolta's in it, and this is when he was still doing decent movies. So, it's worth checking out. Why not? Now, Walk the Line, where he played the late great Johnny Cash. Now, again, like I said before, I wasn't 100% sure if he was doing the actual singing in this movie, and he actually was. I mean, a lot of times when an actor or an actress will, do whatever musician that's based on a real life person, they just dub it. He actually got lost in the role there. I mean, he actually nailed the voice. It's just an awesome performance. My only complaint about this movie is that like it stops in like the 1960s, whatever, and then you're like, well, like what about the other 40, 50 years, that he lived, I mean, I like that's my biggest complaint about it. But other than that, great performance, great movie. We Own the Night, another great movie. Him and Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg is a cop. Joaquin Phoenix's character kind of gets lost in this like kind of mafia world, whatever. And like at the end, I don't know, I'm not gonna say there's like a twist ending or whatever, but it's something happens, and kind of like the roles are reversed, sort of, whatever. I just gave something away, whatever. The point is, good movie, check it out. Reservation Road. This movie, I liked it. Very simple, fatal tragedy happens between two families. I'm not going to say what it is, but it's pretty good. Mark Ruffalo is in it. Jennifer Connelly's in it. Definitely worth checking out. Nothing spectacular, but good little story, good performances. That's all you really want in a movie. You want to see some cool shit. That's all. You want to see, the actors do all they can do. Just saying. Two Lovers. Now, around this time, or just after this movie, I guess, I don't know, Joaquin Phoenix started acting all kooky, whatever, with the beard and glasses and whatever. But before he did a very good movie. And Gwyneth Paltrow's in it. And, the whole concept of the movie is, he's with one girl, but he really is interested in this other girl. And he's really just trying to convince her to, like, be with him. And, again, I can't really give a lot of it away, but it's just a really good performance by Joaquin Phoenix. Definitely recommend that one. I'm Still Here. I definitely don't recommend this one. Again, this is the whole mockumentary thing. He's leaving the business. I mean, the only good thing that came out of this is the whole David Letterman interview. And, I mean, that's definitely worth checking out on YouTube. I mean, that's by far the funniest part of the film. But yeah, I mean, like, you would think it'd be entertaining, but it wasn't. I don't know what they were going for with this one. I mean, it was a joke, obviously. I mean, everyone found out later on. And yeah, a couple years later, he came back to acting. Again, thank fucking Christ. And he did a really great movie. One of my favorite performances that he's ever done is in The Master. And basically the best way I could describe this performance is he's almost like a caveman, in the sense, he's just kind of like your average Joe, but he's got like no manners and everything. And then yeah, he comes across Philip Seymour Hoffman, and like his character, he's kind of running not a cult, but it's one of these things where he's trying to prove that like God is everything, and he's trying to just make his own little world up. And he kind of takes Joaquin Phoenix's character under his wing, and Amy Adams is in it too, plays Hoffman's wife, and it's just really three good, solid performances. I mean, there's one scene in the movie where Philip Seymour Hoffman gives him almost like a lie detector test, like a manual one. And I mean, the acting back and forth is just, it's an insane scene. It really is. So definitely recommend that one. Back Beyond, short video. I don't know what this is. I've never seen it. The Immigrant, I saw it. It was okay. It wasn't, it was all right. Her, have you ever wondered if a man can fall in love with a computer? Well, Her definitely makes it possible. Really interesting performance, and just watching Joaquin Phoenix just go back and forth with a computerized Scarlett Johansson. It's pretty trippy. Amy Adams is in it too. Just great performances, really. Directed and written by Spike Jonze. He's done a lot of stuff, being John Malkovich. And yeah, keep in mind the guy directed Sabotage. I think that was the first thing he ever directed by the Beastie Boys. So, the guy's been doing it for a long time too. It's just a really weird movie. A lot of people can't understand what happened at the end. Spoiler alert. I just assume that like she got upgraded, So it's like when you have a new Windows or something, and then the next one comes along. Like nobody cares, and like what happens to the old one? It just disappears. It gets upgraded. That's all it is, right? So I don't know. That's what I got from it. Now, Inherent Vice. I looked at the cast of this movie. It looked pretty cool from the trailer. I was extremely disappointed in this movie. I'm not gonna lie. It didn't have much of a story. I wasn't really feeling it. Yeah, sorry, man. I don't know. I could not get into that one. Yeah. Rational Man, written and directed by Woody Allen. It's a decent little movie. He plays the teacher and the whole love life thing and all that, and it was all right. You Were Never Really Here. This movie, it's all right. It's one of those like movies where like everything mostly happens at the end. There's kind of like a big build up for an ending. The whole point is he's trying to find this girl that's missing, and like I said, like everything just happens at the end. His character just I'm not gonna say loses it, but just goes all out at the end there. So it's all right. I would check it out. Why not? Don't Worry, He Won't Get Far on Foot. Okay, now this is a interesting movie. I felt this is about a guy who unfortunately was in a car crash, and he's just trying to fix his life, and he's haunted by a lot of the things that happened to him in the past, and he's dealing with a lot of stuff in the future. But good little cast. Jonah Hill's in there, Jack Black's in there. It's definitely worth checking out. Mary Magdalene. I never saw this one. 12 men heard and spread the message of Jesus. Only one woman understood it. I've heard a tale like this before. Anyways, it didn't get the best rating. I didn't see it. Yeah. The Sister Brothers. Now, weird title. I know. But I actually saw this movie in theaters. I just had a good feeling about it. Now, I'm not going to lie, the movie starts off a little slow, but it's one of those movies that gets better as it goes on. Him and John C. Reilly, two great performances. Honestly, it's just a bunch of. It's kind of like a old Western movie, and they're just trying to find a way to get rich, and the vigilantes, and it's actually a pretty good movie. So, like I said, it starts off a little slow, but it gets better as it goes on. So it's one of those movies. That's right. So I would check it out. He did something called Lou. It's just a short. I don't know. I've never heard of it. Yeah. Now, what we've all been waiting for is the review of the Joker. Now, my last podcast, there was 3 major roles of the Joker so far, at least I feel in my lifetime, or just in general in movie history. And that's Jack Nicholson, Heath Ledger, and now we got Joaquin Phoenix taking on the role. Now, I'm just going to start off by saying this. Everyone is just wondering, like, what is this movie about? What's the point of this movie? It's a very disturbing movie. I saw it with my dad. At the end of the movie, we were just sitting there, and and even afterwards, I'm not gonna lie, I had the munchies, and I went to bulk barn because I love my bulk barn. And there was a point I was just waiting for my dad to come back because he went somewhere else. He dropped me off there. Okay, we'll meet at bulk barn, whatever. And the weirdest thing is, I was still thinking about the movie. Like I still felt like I was there, like in the movie, and it was still just playing back in my head. And that's how good of a movie this was. I mean, it was just, I mean, the performance that Joaquin Phoenix gave was just absolutely phenomenal, you know? And keep in mind, it was also directed by Todd Phillips, and he was one of the writers as well. And if you don't know who Todd Phillips is, I mean, he's done a lot of comedies. He's done Road Trip, Old School. He did the movie version of Starsky and Hutch, the Hangover movies. So I'm sure when a lot of people heard he was going to do this movie, and it's like, well, what's going on here? Like, why is he doing a DC movie? But I was like, you know what? If anybody can kind of make like a comedy, like a dark kind of comedy, and it's him, and he pulled it off just great, man. I mean, like there's nothing really bad I can say about this movie, and all I can say is this: at the end there, everyone's wondering, like what happened. I mean, like how did he get away with all this shit? And I'm just gonna be honest with you. In my opinion, this was all in his head. It was nothing but a dream or just a fantasy or whatever the fuck you want to call it. This is all happening in his head. Right at the end there, when he is just sitting there talking to the nurse or the orderly, whatever, and then it even ends with him running out the room, and he's got the red footprints, whatever. And then he's being chased by one of the guards or the male nurses, whatever. Like I even believe that that's in his head. Like this whole movie is just all these weird thoughts in his head, and because there's no way like any of this is actually possible. I mean, that's just my opinion. I mean, you had the first Joker, Jack Nicholson. In many ways, let's just be honest, it was Jack Nicholson being Jack Nicholson. But at the same time, he, created like a whole bunch of good facial expressions and like the laugh and the smile and like the original look. That was the Joker, and it worked. So he was just, kind of playing it like half psychotic, half, funny. And then the other spin on it is with Heath Ledger, he just took it 100% psycho. Like he just went all the way with it. I mean, there's a couple funny parts here and there, whatever. But for the most part, he knew exactly what he had to do with that role and just make it pure psychotic. And with Joaquin Phoenix, I mean, the way he played it was almost like a guy who is psycho, but doesn't have the balls to be psycho in real life. And I thought that was really interesting, So you have a guy who's physically, he looks very weak, very pale. I mean, he lost a lot of weight. Like I said before, he lost like 53 pounds or something. And, he just looks like he's just literally wasting away, And, the guy for the most part, like in the movie, he's just living with his mom, and, he's just with his own thoughts, like all the time. He's just alone, and that's what happens to a lot of these people that are just like alone, and they have no hobbies, they have no life, they just go nuts, and they get picked on all their lives, and like they gotta lash out. But a lot of these guys, I'm just being honest with you, they're fucking pussies, and they got no choice but to act out their own shit in their own head, and they think that this is acceptable in society, and they probably feel that something is owed to them. And I just don't believe any of this shit. I really don't. I truly believe that the whole movie is just his fantasy, And I'll tell you where exactly the point where I believe that it's all just a dream or a fantasy or whatever the fuck you want to call it. And I'm not trying to make a joke out of this, but pardon the pun, but the scene where, he shoots up all the people, and he comes back to the apartment there and knocks on the girl that he was kind of, I don't know, I guess in his world, flirting with there, the black woman there. And, she just opens the door and he just, starts making out with her. Now, again, I'm not trying to make a joke out of this, but ladies and gentlemen, I've been out with a few black women, okay? Black women, there's no fucking way they're down for that shit, okay? I'm telling you that right now. You might be able to pull this shit off with a white girl. Maybe. Maybe. But a black girl will definitely not make out with a white guy wearing makeup without no conversation and no dinner, okay? So right there, I knew that this is just a pure fantasy, okay? And there's kind of a theme with the whole black women in the movie. I mean, again, I didn't know the Joker had jungle fever, And ironically, you got Robert De Niro in there, and we all know how Robert De Niro feels about black women, So this, a bit of a theme there. I don't know, maybe it's just me, whatever. But I'm just saying, in the beginning, he's got the care worker, whatever. She's black. The girl he's interested, black, and at the end, the nurse, black. I don't know. Maybe it's supposed to represent the opposite or something. I don't know. Who the fuck knows? But I'm just saying. I mean, right there, I knew that scene. It had to be a fantasy. It had to be. And I get, they're taking it back to like the, maybe mid '70s or something like that, And I'm sure there weren't that many video cameras around, but I find that hard to believe, guys. You shoot 3 people on the subway, nobody sees anything, especially in New York. I mean, come on, man. It's not right. And then even when he's like thinking about being on the show, even before, Robert De Niro calls him out from the audience. They have a little moment there, whatever. And then later on, he's on the show, and then he ends up, shooting De Niro, point blank and telling him the whole story, blah, 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 whatever. This is all in his head. It's all in his head. And even like being on stage as a comedian and, him just doing this like kind of weird softball shit joke, whatever, people are actually, they're not even really buying it. They're sort of buying it maybe. And I mean, this whole movie is just one big fantasy. So it's great how they just put the spin on the Joker where he is like psychotic, and the 2 major guys before him, Jack Nicholson and Heath Ledger, weren't afraid to be this role in real life, but his character is just, it just comes across as very like insecure in the end. And I think the only way he could pull this shit off is just in his head, Also, I'd love to know how he can afford all these suits by not having a job and anything. And I get it, it's a movie, whatever, blah, 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 blah. But again, this is all in his head. So it's great how they put that spin on it where the Joker can be this psychotic character, or just anybody in general could be this psychotic character, and yet still not have the balls to actually do it in real life. You see what I'm saying? So, and even with the movements, the way he was running down the street, even Todd Phillips said, that was all Joaquin Phoenix. They had like stunt doubles for, like the cars going by and all that, whatever. But yeah, it was a really well done the way, like even little things like when he slid and like, kind of like the arms near and like the facial expressions when he was running. It was very Joker-esque, even when he stole the files in the hospital there, like when he was running down the hallway there, the movement was perfect. And the makeup, very similar, to past roles, except, I just assumed that they took the idea from The Dark Knight where Heath Ledger's character had the mask on in the beginning there, with the bus, and it looks exactly like that makeup. So I just assumed they took it from there. And even in the beginning of the movie where he's got different makeup and he's just experimenting in front of the mirror there with different smiles, and even when the kids beat him up, the makeup is still different, the costume is still different, like he's still trying to find his true inner Joker, I guess. And even afterwards, when the kids hit him in the head with the sign and he's just laying there, I didn't even notice this until Todd Phillips said something. He reaches for the sign to try to fix it, and then he changed his mind and he reaches into his pocket and he pushes the button for the flower, and it just splurts out a little bit of water. And then you just see the title Joker. And it really just gives you an idea of, like, in the end, he just wants to entertain. Like I said before, if you're a good actor, you just want to entertain. And, I'm sure when you're a clown, you really just want to please the audience. And like, like even in that sad situation, like that's all he wanted to do, but no one saw it, like, so it makes you wonder, like, why would he even do that? But that's how much he cared about entertaining people. And, as the film goes on, it just gets, more darker, and, it's just really disturbing, and I really do believe that everything is just in his head and he just doesn't have the guts to do it in real life. I mean, thank God, He even says in the beginning, is it just me, or is it getting crazier out there? Now, what does he mean by that? I mean, does he mean that, like, society's getting crazier, like the way people are treating him, it's crazier? I mean, I think a lot of it is just in his head, you know? I mean, okay, you could always say, like, in society, yeah, things do get crazy sometimes, but maybe he doesn't want to face his own crazy. And the whole laughing aspect. I mean, like I said before, like Heath Ledger nailed the laugh. But then they have a thing where, he's just laughing, and, he gives the kid on the bus the card, saying, oh, I don't mean to laugh, whatever. It's just part of my disease. And, like, is that his excuse, or is that his just, like, subtle way of saying, look, I mean, this is the best way I can describe myself without, fully going nuts. I mean, it's just an interesting spin, what Joaquin Phoenix did with this role. It really is. I mean, the whole concept of the Joker is that, he is insane, and he was sent to, what was it? Gotham Asylum there, whatever, And they never really did talk about that the first couple films, But this one, yeah, you really believe that he's just absolutely nuts. But I don't think he ever acted out on it. I think it's just his thoughts. And, he just really just wanted to entertain people. And this is something that he thought that it was the best way for him to do it, but not to actually do it, not to actually, lash out at the world, because he was just too afraid to do it. Even one of the last scenes, he felt like at the end of his fantasy, he could finally smile, but it came with the price of other people's blood. Hence, when he put his fingers in his mouth and made the smile with it, and then it just ends. It shows him back in the asylum. It almost gives us this idea that really anybody can be the Joker. You see all the people that followed him in his fantasy? Like, that's what he wanted. And God only knows how many people think with that mentality every single day. But how many people actually act on it? I mean, thank God they don't. But that's the most disturbing thing about the movie, is that you see the other two Joker roles, and they just went with it. But Joaquin Phoenix's version of the Joker never truly became the Joker. It was all just in his head. It was just meant for his entertainment. And I can absolutely say that he entertained every audience that saw this movie. I mean, he's definitely going to be a shoo-in for Best Actor, and it should be nominated for Best Picture. And he's got a couple other films lined up, like an Untitled Mike Mills project, and Far Bright Star, which is going to be directed by Casey Affleck. Either way, from playing Superboy to the Joker, he's always managed to keep us on our toes. So thank you very much, Joaquin Phoenix.